All right, so it's a pretty interesting story about Alex Jones, host of InfoWars. I don't know if you guys forgot about him. Obviously, he's banned from virtually every platform. However, there's a video of him that's starting to get some news coverage and is trending in some places. And this is Alex Jones going after Donald Trump for his comment that he made at his Alabama rally, in which he supported and endorsed his supporters to get the vaccine. He then proceeded to get booed by his own fans. I've never seen that before from Trump fans. And Alex Jones, he starts off by saying, he's a good guy, go get midterm Republicans elected. But then he says that Trump might actually be a dumbass for supporting the vaccines. Check it out.
Got a bunch of medical doctors I want to play for you on this when we come back. But first, let's take President Trump, who I believe is a good person and who I really care about and who I want to see get a lot of good Republicans elected in the midterms and who I would love to see run again. We got to take him to the woodshed, though, because he came out last week on Fox and Friends and said, I really am suspicious of this booster shot. If this supposedly works so well, why do I need a booster shot? Because you got lied to, Trump. It didn't have 98% efficacy. We knew day one it wouldn't work, period. It's a fraud. It'll create mutants. You got chumped. You got signed on to a fraud to restart the economy. I understand why you did it. You believe in science. Except these are bad actors, sir. You believed America could produce a good vaccine. Of course they could have. They didn't want to. They didn't create a vaccine. They created a Frankenshot. And now they've got you signed up to it. Now the left's saying you better get out there and push it, and you are. CNN comes out and says, we need to see Trump come out and tell people to take the shots. And within weeks of them saying it over and over again, CNN snaps their fingers. Jeff Zucker snaps his fingers and Trump clicks his heels and hops up there at attention and says, how high do you want me to jump, boss? There's Trump in Alabama yesterday.
I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know, okay? I'll call up Alabama and say, hey, you know what? But it is working.
BS. Trump, that's a lie. You're not stupid. Just 2 weeks ago, they said it was 65%, then 40%. Saw a number put up about Pfizer shots, 30-something%. Because they just want to tell you it doesn't work, so you're running at the new damn shot. And then they'll tell you in 6 months that one doesn't work. It's called rope-a-dope. Shame on you, Trump. Seriously. Hey, if you don't have the good sense to save yourself and your political career, that's okay. At least you're going to get some good Republicans elected. And, we like you, but my God, maybe you're not that bright. Maybe Trump's actually a dumbass. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
So very unsurprisingly, of course, Alex Jones is very anti-vaccine. All of his numbers there are a bunch of lies. The protection against coronavirus infection is somewhere within the 80s. And obviously protection against symptomatic disease is within the 90s. So it's not lowering. There were some studies that were very, very flawed methodology-wise that came out against it. But just so you guys know, the vaccine is not a superpower. It's not going to make it so that you're invincible 100% of the time. There's still over 80% protection from infection, which is absolutely bonkers. And symptomatic disease is over 90%. So incredibly, incredibly high efficacy rates there. And so it's unsurprising that Alex Jones is anti-vax. Obviously, we know he's the king of conspiracy theories, right? King of the tinfoil hats. Now, some of you guys may be surprised that he's willing to turn on Trump. I'm not surprised that he's willing to turn on Trump. He's called out Trump before on certain actions that he's done, like when he had bombed Syria. So I'm not too surprised. But what's clear to me is that even the supporters of these right-wing politicians, these crazy supporters, the one area where they're down to turn against them, I guess, is when it comes to things like vaccines and coronavirus and stuff like that, because that's a more deeply held conspiracy of theirs, bullshit conspiracy, I may add, of theirs, that they essentially will be down to cross. They will be down to forego their support of somebody for that. So he started out kind of trying to pussyfoot around it with Trump, but towards the end he was getting very, very angry, and he was saying, he might be a dumbass. So it just goes to show you that I guess there always is a line, even when, you know, I remember Trump said he could like shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue or something and his supporters would still support him. I guess the line for his supporters supporting him is him supporting vaccines. And why is Trump telling his supporters to get vaccines? Does he believe, is he really like coming in on the side of science and stuff like that? No. What he's doing is he actually wanted to get the credit for the vaccines being created. That was actually a big thing he was talking about. That was one of his campaign trail points against Joe Biden, was we have vaccine coming out. So that was supposed to be a positive for his legacy. So he wants to add that to his legacy. But since his supporters hate the vaccine, he can't take credit for it, because then it's going to be a negative impact on him. So that's the thing. But it appears that even Alex Jones is willing to turn on Donald Trump.